Tomorrow is the Cow Pie Classic, the next race in the Michigan Gravel Race Series, and I'm very excited to get back over to Ionia and ride some of the roads over there. I did this event last year, but I was dropped almost immediately. And to explain that a little bit better, let's take a look at the course map. The race is 30 miles long, 785 feet of climbing, which is not a ton, but a lot of these punchy hills take place in this first 6 mile section, which actually has a segment called Cow Pie Classic to Farm. This includes the Welch Wall here, which we do come back to later at 23.5 miles, and it's going to be tough to stay with a group. This race is really important because I'm currently third in the under 29 short haul category for the Michigan Gravel Race Series, and I'd really like to keep that top 3 spot, or even move up. I did retest my FTP just last week, and it was 228 watts, but FTP isn't everything. With life and schedules and all of that, everything has to happen really quickly. The race is 3 hours away, and we'll be back here by 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. That's kind of mind-boggling, but the next 24 hours is going to be nuts. I'm excited for it. Hope everything goes well, and I got a lot to get done, so I better get on it. So we made it. It rained the entire way here, so my bike is covered in like crunchy little dust particles from my tires kicking it up at it because it was mounted on this. Here we have the Breakfast of Champions, McDonald's. Here we go. I'm running road shoes, so I'm having a little trouble getting clipped in here at the start. But not a big deal. Off and running. Here we go. Trying to find where I need to be, where I want to be, what wheel to follow. I feel good today. My legs are feeling really good. I tried to come into form for this race by doing a really hard ride on Wednesday, nothing Thursday, and then a short ride Friday. That way Saturday I'd show up with good legs, and that's what I did. I'm really pumped for this. 179 beats per minute already, mostly out of excitement, not fatigue. We get into this pavement section after we're just about to head out of Ionia, and I forgot that there was a climb coming up. I knew that there was climbs, obviously in the first 6 miles is where most of the pivotal climbs would be, but I forgot that it was coming. I was just trying to find a way to move up. You see we're spread all over the road, and I'm still putting out good power, so it's not like I can just jump into these gaps. I've really got to be kind of decisive about what I'm going to do. The front of the race is already making this turn, and we're a good ways back. But as I round the corner, I see that there's a hill, and that's kind of my favorite thing. So I jump out to the left-hand side, and I didn't know I had gone this hard, actually, until I looked back at the footage, but looking at it now, I was really happy with my power output. I'm riding by people, making up a ton of spots, still holding great average power, somewhere in like 500 here. I am out of the saddle. I just crushing up this hill. Helping myself stay in front of splits up to this point. A couple other riders seem to have the same idea, jumping out, passing, coming back in. I just want to keep going. And my heart rate's not that high yet. 185 is pretty reasonable for me. Alright, now we get to relax a little bit, make it around the corner, find a wheel. We jump forward a little bit here to the Welch Wall. We talked about this at the beginning of the video. It's a pretty aggressive, steep climb, but it's short, so less than a quarter mile. And in fact, I actually didn't know we had gone over it already at this point. Or later, actually. Right now, I don't realize this is the Welsh wall. I think it's still coming. I just think this is a punchy climb. I've got a good clear path here, out of the saddle, climbing up, and I asked myself right about here why I do this. Why do I come out early on the weekend and just put myself through the ringer? But shortly after, I decided it's because it's a blast and it's such a good time. Now you can see there's some splits happening right here. And I don't have anything left to close it down at this very moment. 192 beats per minute is getting close to that threshold of what I'm capable of doing. And that split turned into this split, which is kind of the end of my opportunity to be in the front of the race, which is the exact opposite of what I wanted to do. I attribute most of this to my lack of technical ability. I was having trouble staying on the group when I was coming through turns, things like that. I just didn't trust that I wouldn't slide out. My big last ditch efforts right here, I put in that 32 mile an hour, 33 mile an hour ride down that hill, and I'm actually catching the group. I've made some distance. Now I don't know if that's just because there was a turn there, but it feels like I caught up at least a little bit. I'm thinking maybe this guy and I can work together to catch back on. So I want to get to him quickly, but I actually get to him a little too quickly, and I just overtake him, and that was it. The group, I don't see them as a whole again. Here's the farm. This is my favorite part of the course. Last year, I missed this gate and had to turn around and come back to it. I was ready this year. Plus, the Lucky 13 rider had yelled that there was a turn, which was helpful. I also got to see a real cow pie and ride through it. Look at that. Now, the Lucky 13 riders, which will play a pretty big part in the rest of this race. This is where we meet up. You'll see that the polka dot jersey here on the right hand side, this is Lois Ann. She is the leader of the Women's Michigan Gravel Race Series Open category. Also, I've raced against her in a time trial, and she beat me, so I know she's really strong, and if I can stick on her wheel with her team, I'll be in good shape. This was such a neat part of the course, but I was really scared. I've got Pathfinder Pro tires, which have a slick spot in the middle, and this sort of wet mud is not great for traction for that. So I was sliding all over, but it was a lot of fun to ride through here. Last year, I almost ate it on a downhill, which is coming up soon, so I knew to give her a little bit of space, and I still couldn't get stopped. I almost careened right into her, but I go wide, and we make it through it okay. There's a rooty little climb here that was pretty tricky. That was a lot of fun. It's just such a cool place to ride through. You're in the woods, you got a little bit of mud, there's people around, it's fantastic. We come out into this open field, which was sort of bumpy, so it was kind of hard to put down really, really strong power because your pedal stroke was disrupted so frequently. And I get a little tight here, almost overcooked that a little bit. Now there's really no group left. I mean, there's people around, but there's no group because of the terrain. Also, the organizer, Joe, explained that there's a hill on the way out of the farm that we'd probably have to walk up. And I remember it from last year. I had to walk it then, and I will probably have to walk it today, was my thought. So I'm actually taking it kind of easy. There's that hill I was talking about. Definitely not going to ride up that. I'm sure some people did, but that's not in my repertoire to do. So, carry the bike. Bike's too heavy. Sit the bike back down. And again, I'm in road shoes, which are not great for climbing up things like this. And I'm going as fast as I can. I mean, it doesn't look like it, but I am. 191 beats per minute. And I wanted to get out of people's way so I could try to clip in because it's going to take me a second. I can't do the cyclocross run and jump and clip in thing yet. All good. We get to this hill, still climbing out of the farm, and we're still putting down really good power. Over 400 watts. And we've got a little group here. I know that these guys are strong because locally the Ann Arbor Velo Club, the blue kit in front of us, Their group's always strong. We've got the Lucky 13 riders. They're very strong. And there's a couple of people here in the Morning Cranks Club kits, another Michigan group that is really strong. I wasn't totally sure where we were headed at this point because this is different from the previous year. But then when I realized we were going through the barn, I got pretty excited. That was pretty cool. There's some volunteers here, which is also awesome. They've got some water and things. I was way too engrossed in just trying to stay with these guys to take advantage of any of that. And at this point, I'm pretty thankful to see some road. This means we can group up, figure out what's left after the farm section as far as a group, and hopefully make up some ground on the front group. We had caught a sight at this point of a group in front of us, and it looked like we were gaining. So we wanted to try to rotate and work together. I am totally on board for that. There's probably a group of 10 with us right now. So I'll take my pole, I'll come on over, and we're flying. I mean, we're at a pretty good pace. 24 miles an hour is not supersonic, but it's it's good pace. Now the rest of the group didn't seem to want to rotate, so I jumped over. I am more than willing to take another pull. I feel good, I feel pretty fresh, and going faster is definitely on my mind. It's very hard to see, but in the distance, there's a group there. Another good pull. Now, I think we would have caught them faster if we would have continued to rotate from this point, so I started to let up because I'm pulling over, but somebody comes flying past us. I wasn't sure if he was going to try to fly and bridge up there, but that group is just now taking the left turn at the next intersection. That's a good 20-second gap. Bridging that solo would have been pretty painful. So over the next couple of miles, we slowly work our way back to this group, and here they are. This is the new squad. Our group of 10 are with their group of 15 or 16. They had fallen off the front group, and now we are the chase group. So we're the second group on the road. The front group is long gone, and this is a good chance for me to analyze and just see who's here. How many people do I have to deal with for the rest of this race? So we've got the Lucky 13 riders. We've got a bunch of clubs represented in Michigan in this group, which is so cool. I love that there's that community where there's clubs that you can recognize and people that you see at all these races that you'll see over and over again. I make my way to the back because I just didn't seem to be able to, I couldn't get up past anybody. You see here on this road, it's wide open, right? But there's bikes everywhere. There's nowhere to slide in. This is the second time that we ride up the Welch Wall. This is the start of it. Now the last 10 miles were basically us just noodling around because nobody wanted to pull, which I totally get. We're not going to catch the front group. Nobody's going to catch our group. So there's not a whole lot of motivation to put in huge efforts, really for no reason. You will see the Lucky 13 riders are in this group here near the back, and they are the riders that I'm marking, like I mentioned earlier. I know, being that Lois Ann wants to keep that Michigan Gravel Race Series leaders jersey, her and her team are going to be motivated to finish well, especially out of this group. There's a lot of people in this group that are in this series that both she and I need to try to beat. The second time up the Welsh Wall wasn't too bad either. I think that the terrain and the rain from the night before, there was a storm that passed through, actually made it really rideable. If it was any looser, we might have had more issues. There was a slight change to the course due to the storms that had taken place the night before. Also, there was some sticks on the road, which right here, I get a stick caught in my chain, in my wheel, and it's just in there crunching some things up. I pedal backwards and it flicks out, and I keep going. I was super thankful that I didn't have to stop. In this group, there are 27 riders total. So finishing at the front of it or at the back of it is a difference of 27 positions, which could be a ton of points in the series. This fella here in the striped socks, I'm seeing him be really motivated to move up. He's always sticking his wheel out, trying to see if there's any path to move forward. So I stick to him for the later part of this race. I don't want to have to go way out left like we're doing right now on my own to try to make up any spots. I know there's a pretty big descent coming up, and then I'm going to have to sprint or put in some kind of effort for the finish if I want to beat this group. He does a great job of towing me around, and I don't think he even knows I'm back here. But he was a good person to follow. Little scary moment here on this descent. The guy in the green jersey is on his hoods and his top tube, and he gets a little bit of a wobble there when he tries to pedal. Decides it's not a good idea. This is where things get cagey. Everybody's filling in, every spot getting really tight because positioning is important. We've got a little over a mile left, and I've had them marked from the start. The Lucky 13 crew takes off. I definitely want to stay on those wheels, get some positions. There was some yelling in the group. They saw them taking off. Everyone picks up speed, and we're going to jam this way for a while. Lois Sand starts to lose a little bit of connection to the wheel in front. I'm losing some connection to the guy in front of me, but luckily the Lois Sand's teammate has pulled off to go back and help her, which kind of shuts down this little attack, which is actually good for me. We're losing speed, and I'm able to get back onto this wheel, and I'm going to recover a little bit. But then I look over my shoulder to my left, and I see that there's a train coming. I really can't go on my own around the right side. A mile out's just too far. I have to let this happen. I really don't have a choice. I know we're getting close to the finish. There's some slower riders up ahead. We'll get around them, but I'm still boxed in here. I don't have anywhere to go. And this is not something I'm familiar with. I'm not good at this. Being in this position was very scary. Everyone's getting very excited. A lot of power is being put down, going really fast. Slight left turn, and I'm just gonna let the video tell the rest of the story here. We started off and we were in like a decent group, and then it split a couple times, and then a group caught us, and then we caught another group. When we see the bricks, the pace goes up. I get in a good position, and I'm thinking, okay, I'll sprint at the line. Well, then they surged around me, and I'm in the middle of a group, so there's like nowhere to go. And then this gap opened up on the right side, and there's a barricade on the left. So I just jumped and went because the guy in front of me had gone on the left side. And then, yeah, got through the line second out of the group. So hopefully we don't have too many people in front of us in the first group, but it sounds like there was a pretty decent group. So, all right, cool.